I was going to jump in because I just remembered something that happened in class when we had a lesson plan, and it was regarding ethos, pathos, logos. And we had just started to cover the concepts of logos, which always seems to be the confusing one, right? We had a lesson plan, and I remember we started going over whatever examples we were using, and someone said, you know, I don't get logos. I just don't get it. And then we kind of got a feel for the room, and everyone said the same thing, like, yeah, I don't quite understand it too. So we completely ditched it, and it just kind of went over logos again, and then how they work with ethos and pathos. And then so I remember I shot an email to the professor right after and said, you know what, we had to scrap that lesson, and this is what we did. And which was good because she brought it up again next week.
Class,
and to make sure that everyone was on the same page and that we can move forward with, you know, a new lesson.
Right, so basically taking the temperature of the class, because sometimes, you know, you can see that look of that they're not, you know, it's not going in. They're maybe doing this, but it's not. So.
And for whatever reason, you know, that student didn't want to bring it up. I've noticed that happens where sometimes a student doesn't want to bring it up in 113.
Right.
But then instead they feel maybe they have a different environment, different rapport with you in SI. And that's absolutely fine. You have to get a feel for that dynamic, but you want to make sure that your professor's kind of clued in on that one, right? She wants to know that this is what's happening here. So, and it was all good after that.
Regarding that, I mean, I'm not sure how everyone thinks or anything, but you pretty much acted on instinct, right? You felt that that was the right thing to do, so you went for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess just for everyone that's watching, I mean, I guess you might even feel a little guilty, like, am I doing a wrong thing by going, you know, scratching the lesson plan that was given to me and doing this? In that case, you did the right thing, right? You communicated right after, making sure that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do anything that took away from whatever the professor was already teaching. It just happened to be that she thought we got these concepts down. Everyone said, yeah, all right, let's move on in 113, and part of that moving forward with a new lesson or a new concept would start in 113 or given more examples. Instead, we just had to go back and really repeat what happened, what the professor was saying, and which was fine because when we told her, you know, yeah, we had to go back and sort of not really start from scratch, but just hammer these concepts more, take more time. She was able to group everyone together before she started her own lesson plan and say, all right, let's just spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about this, and then got a feel for the room, and then pretty much a majority of people got it.
Okay. And they were really appreciative of the fact that it was really kind of that, you know, those moments. So we just needed a little bit extra time with that, but we wouldn't have known because in 113 they were like, we'll move on, But then later on it was like, in our class, in SI, they felt more comfortable for some reason, less like this is the professor, even though we're SI instructors, there's something that they don't quite understand.
Yeah, and so if you don't understand logos, and then the next assignment is to read an essay, and then take out, you know, analyze ethos, pathos, logos in this essay, and they suddenly don't understand that at all, you have to go back anyway. Or she would have gotten a bunch of papers back that said, what is this? You know, you're not getting the concept. So instead of waiting until you get all these poor grades or poor papers, you might as well go back to the lesson. So we were able as SI leaders to catch that early, and that was more of a benefit for her.
Yeah, you know, that's why I love, one thing I love about SI is, I mean, even as a student, I'm sometimes scared to ask questions in my own classes because I feel that, I mean, I don't want to appear stupid, and I know that, but not anymore. I love SI because I guess there's this different relationship with the SIs and the students to a point where they'll actually ask the questions they didn't ask in 113.
Right.
And that's why that's why I love it. It's one big benefit of having SIs that they'll I guess they're not as scared to ask the questions they wouldn't ask in 113.
Right. You're not the scary professor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just another student.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, actually, you know what? I was not like I'm talking too much. No, regarding the having a professor that pretty much lets you do whatever you want. Well, not whatever you want, but no, one thing, because to a new SI, that sounds very threatening, very scary, because what am I going to do? One thing I discovered, well, like the first week is the best way overcome that, just asking the professor, what is it that you want me to go over? And then you base your lesson plan off of what they tell you. And that goes back to communicating with the professor. That's one of the best things that worked for me.
Yeah, what worked for me was I would come up with like what I would call like the skeleton of a lesson plan, like just have a very basic kind of lesson plan that you know you can really adjust quickly, and I would have it in front of me during class and pay really close attention to what's happening in class, and then you know kind of add or you know adjust things during class. Obviously, you know paying attention to everything that's going on, but you know you kind of have to a little bit you kind of have to do like some of your planning right before class, because when you have a professor like that who is giving you so much free rein and you really want the lesson to be successful and beneficial, then yeah, sometimes you have to do that during class. Yeah.
And as time goes on, we begin to trust our own instincts.
Yes.
Which is a wonderful thing. So in the beginning, you know, it's like, you know, even just a little bit or a lot, you know, we all have that. The more we do it, we trust our instincts, we see there's an ebb and flow to the whole process. We gain confidence, and we have that communication, that dialogue with either our partner or our partner and the professor, if we're depending on, you know, or on our own. And then of course, talking about it with each other is always helpful. Getting those little, you know, those little tidbits of, oh, Lori, you did this? Oh, great idea, and vice versa. And so
catching people in that SI room.
Catching people in the SI room, sharing stories and being a support is really helpful.
Yeah, that was really helpful for me too. Right.
Speaking of different professors and kind of styles of teaching, I've always kind of found that it's good to just clone their behavior too. You know, if you have a professor who's very strict with deadlines and very strict with everything, it doesn't work to be contradictory and be like, oh no, that's okay. You know, for you to be lenient with everything, you kind of have to match. You kind of have to match with them, complement what they're doing. Or if you have a professor who's very lenient, it really just doesn't, you know, it just doesn't fit for you to be extremely strict in class. It'll be hard for the students to kind of take you seriously when the professor is like, well, the professor says I can do it, you know. So
that's an excellent point.
Yeah, so sometimes that's a conflict for me. Is if I have a tendency to be kind of strict and very plan oriented, and the professor's a little bit more open to things and lenient. What do you guys do in that kind of situation?
Well, last semester I had a professor that was very open to anything that I wanted to do. And that professor's lessons were very free-flowing, not very regimented. So I kind of was a little bit more sort of plan-oriented than I would normally be, because just a little bit of structure ended up being very useful for like getting them to think, okay, so you know, that professor might be really loose in the class, but there are hard deadlines, you know? And so it's starting to get them to think, you know, well, it doesn't matter how the professor is, you know, I have to be a particular kind of student to do things. That was